God, not to be mean to any Redpill, or I guess you don't care, but not to be mean to any Redpill creators. I'm happy that like the movement is kind of starting to die because I'm so ready for the next thing. Holy shit.
It is pretty boring. I think there's so many times I can hear the same conversation, talking points where I'm like, I think I'm done with it. I get people who like send me suggestions all the time, and they're like, "Can men and women be friends?" Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Friends, mom, sisters, all the women.
Based and true.
You a man in your fucking 30s asking me if men and women can be friends? Like, bro, figure that out yourself. I don't know. At some point, having the same questions being asked a million times is just
cringe.
If a woman is in danger, is it your job as a man to protect her? It's like, oh.
One of the things that I hate the most is every time they talk about like a man's role and every time they talk about like a man being a leader, blah blah blah. I always like, so I've said this like in my debates now for about a year now. I've been trying really hard to always give an example for everything I'm talking about. So if I'm in a debate, I'll say like, oh well, here's an example of this or here's an example of that. I hate that every single time they talk about like the difference between men and women, it always comes back to like I need to be a leader in a relationship. Well, what does that mean? Well, somebody breaks into my house and I gotta tell my girl, you need to leave. I can't have her ask me questions. She's just gotta run. And it's like, what? Or like, even Andrew Tate is like, what does it mean to be like the man to be responsible for women? Well, if we've gotta walk home and there's 7 alleyways to choose and 6 of them have assassins, I get to choose the one that's the safest for us to walk. And it's like, Jesus Christ. Like, is every single part of your life like built around combat? Like, what the fuck? Jesus.
And the funny thing for me is like, why do they keep going to the most extreme scenarios to justify everyday life? Like,
yeah, I know. That's what I mean. Like, are you waking up in the morning and it's like, hold on, I heard like something. I don't know if it was the stove or 7 assassins trying to break into my house. Let me go check. Stay here in bed. Like, Jesus, it's such a gotta be just. Yeah, I don't know. It's so fucking stupid.
It's just weird to be like, all right, why? Women got to do chores. Why? Because if an intruder breaks in and a gun's pulled,
yeah, I can't be doing laundry.
Do the dishes, you whore.
Yeah, Jesus.
It's just dumb too. Imagine if women start talking like that. Like, listen, my husband does whatever the f I say. Because if I'm about to give birth and I'm going to put my life on the risk,
yeah, true.
Life at risk. Giving birth to this baby and potentially dying, as 14% of women do when they give birth.
Yeah.
And I want to choose where the we go this vacation.
Yeah. Like, bruised knuckles? Excuse me, have you ever heard of preeclampsia? You don't know what you're talking about right now. The only reason you're alive right now today is because some woman risked her life to bring you into this world. Like, bro, I want to see like a crazy feminazi, like a crazy red pill like go at it with like this autistic shit.
And most of the guys talking are people who've never had a life and death situation. So I have no idea.
I know, yeah, that too, yeah.
They're all talking about what responsibilities they have as if they've already assumed it and they're ready to do it. Like, you've never even been in that situation. Why are you talking like that?
Mm-hmm. And like, are you really building your whole life around these that most people, honestly, most people in their entire lives are probably never going to be like in a life or death situation where they're confronted with another person trying to kill them. That's probably a pretty, even in a major city, that's an exceptionally rare thing. Like, Jesus.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think it's dumb that they use the most extreme example. So just talk about everyday life.
Yeah.
Hey, should women and men divide the home responsibilities equally?
Oh, one of my favorite quotes from last night is they were talking about like every woman in life basically gets a free ride for being a woman, but for men, even if you're trying your hardest as a man, you might get punished for it. And one of the quotes was, "There's plenty of smart, attractive, homeless dudes out there." I'm like, bro, they're probably not that many. Okay.
The thing is, it's just not true. I know so many women who have to work their backs off to take care of their families, take care of their parents, take care of their siblings, because like they're struggling. So like the idea that they're just gonna get an OnlyFans and then all of a sudden everything's okay. It's just, first off, a lot of women are not built for that life. They just don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. And secondly, it's like that's just not their lived experience. Most women are going into the workforce not because they can, it's because they need to. They don't have an option but to work and to make money. And then they're shamed for it. It's incredibly cringe to me that in an economy where both people have to work, that women being professional, women being career driven is always chastised. It's like they don't have an option. These women can't just stay at home and do nothing. No one's going to pay the rent for them. No one's going to take care of their parents. There is no man around to be able to handle these situations. So I just think whenever I hear guys just shame women constantly for that, I find it cringe.
Oh. Yeah.
Why do these whores need jobs? Like, why don't they just have kids? It's like, motherfucker, there's not enough men out here who can pay all the bills. It's just, life is too expensive.
And then in their end, they're talking about like men like paying for 3 women at once because you're juggling 3 different girls that you're providing resources for.
Someone sent me a clip of the podcast, and I think at one point Yeah, that's like, who here is single? And like everybody,
Yeah.
obviously, of course they're single. Like, I
No,
wouldn't
but the
expect
funniest part-
to be in relationships.
The funniest part was like 2 minutes later. It was for the first was how many people here are single? 90% of the audience is single. And then the next one was how many of you guys want a life where you can have multiple girlfriends at one time? And like everybody raises their hand and it was like, guys, start with one girl first. Like, holy shit. This should be the most sad and most delusional moment of the show. Is you've got a bunch of guys that don't even have one girlfriend that are aspiring to 3.
Yeah.
I wish they would have asked them who's here has ever had a girlfriend. You probably see the same hands just going straight down because they probably never had this whole fantasy that these guys are like. This whole fantasy of having multiple girlfriends that all these guys are living is not real, and that's why whenever these red pill spaces say no, we want to foster healthy, even monogamous relationships, like it doesn't seem like that bears out in your fan base. I don't believe it. One guy super chatted in and said something like, "Thanks, Myron. Before I was making like 35K and struggling, but now I'm making 75K, and my wife knows she's replaceable."
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not,
and in 3 years, I'm gonna be making 100K.
there's no way that's real.
Jesus.
Imagine saying that to your wife. Hey, bitch, till death do us part. But you're replaceable.
True. You got to stand your game.
I love it though. Love it. The delusion is crazy. I'm glad though. Like nothing in my real life even resembles any of that goofy shit. I don't think I've ever heard even like the weirdest people around me say anything remotely close. So it feels like mostly a terminally online thing. I feel like this is more for online communities. I don't know how much. Do you feel like it bleeds a lot into real life?
No, not much. That's why I was like, one of the things I was saying yesterday as we were watching it was like, you can tell like which women are kind of like indoctrinated into the space because like they'll go around asking like, oh, like what kind of relationship do you want? And a woman will be like, my ideal relationship is with a dominating man that can take charge, with me being submissive and trainable to be like the perfect sister. Just like, and it's like, bro, it's just like they're just like regurgitating Myron talking points verbatim, and it's like, yeah. And like in real life, you would never hear like a woman answer a question like this, you know?
No. But I think all these people are like pre-selected for, and that they already watch this kind of content, or they're already like seeing this kind of stuff being constantly said around them for having done other podcast appearances. So they've already started to adopt it. And I think also like the setting itself makes people a little bit amenable to whatever the host is saying. So,
yeah, for sure. When you've got 30 women and then like 3 guys, and anytime you disagree with the red pill take, you know Myron's going to be grilling you afterwards. Yeah.
Or you just don't come back as often. I remember when I went, like this was 2.5 years ago. It was like 9 women who already agreed, and then like maybe 1 or 2 who had some differing opinions, and then like those same women just never came back. They just stopped showing up for the pod. They stopped coming back. So you end up having a selection process where you're seeing returning faces, but the returning faces are the people who had a pleasant experience. The people who are going to have a pleasant experience are the people who agreed with them the most, right? Because if you go on a podcast and constantly get insults and harassments afterwards, you're not going to want to go back.
Yeah. So
generally people who disagree are not going to go there. So there's a bit of a selection bias on the type of women who even show up on the pod.
Yep.
Also, I saw a clip that showed up on my YouTube feed. Why is Farah beefing with the other women?
I don't even know what's sarcastic or not, so I can't even answer that question. I'm still not sure.
I like how, like, for some reason, she's only comparing herself to the other ladies who show up on this podcast, like just creating this very sexist environment by herself.
True. You should definitely tell her that the next time if you guys.
So disappointing that women are just constantly competing with themselves, even when men have never pitted them. She pigeonholed herself. She's like, "Why is this bitch trying to take my place?" She's like, why are you doing that to yourself as a feminist?
True.
And an ally of H to H. I think that's so disappointing.
Absolutely. I'm appalled.
Are you guys ever going to just stop flirting on stream?
Listen, that's how I interact with all my female friends, okay? Trying to run maximum game on 50 people all at the same time. I need Melina to know she's replaceable at any point in time by any woman that ever shows up on my stream.